All right, thank you guys for tuning in to another Jock Talks podcast. Brock, how we doing today?
Doing pretty good. Another late session for us Jock Talk fan base and otherwise.
That's right.
Otherwise, I'm doing pretty good.
Good. For those of you who are new to the podcast, my name is Matt. Up here in South Central Wisconsin, I guess we're technically considered. Brock down in Wilmington, North Carolina. Originally from up here. Not just two random strangers who met and decided to do a podcast. For those of you wondering, together we are Jock Talk. So thank you guys again for giving us a listen. Today's show is going to be all about the NFL. Week 9 in the NFL coming up, so we got mid-season awards. We got our weekly picks for the NFL. Brock, your record on the season still a stellar 61-36, 25 games above 500. I have
two ties. Don't forget that.
Yes, I have picked a couple of what's the word I'm looking for? Failing upset bids. So my record is slid these last couple of weeks. I'm down to 54-43. Still
respectable.
Still pretty good, above average, I would say, most likely, probably. But I have a good feeling I'm going to get back on track this week. So let's hop into some of the games. We got a little bit more time to talk about games a little bit more in depth. What we're looking forward to, some of our fantasy studs of the week, upset picks of the week coming. So starting off this first game, Dallas going to Cleveland. Dallas is favored on the road. I do believe I saw that Corey Coleman is expected back in this game. I picked him up off of fantasy waivers in one of my two leagues. So I'm not playing him quite this week, but I think he scores at least a touchdown this week. I think he gets open for a long touchdown, but I do have the Cowboys winning this game. But who knows? This could be a situation like last week where the Bears beat the Vikings, and not many people saw that coming. But I do have Dallas winning over Cleveland after 2 weeks in a row, trying to edge Cleveland on to get their first win of the week. Or of the season, excuse me.
Yeah. This one you would think is set in stone with Dallas being 6-1 and Cleveland being 0-7 or whatever they are. They haven't won a game. That's about it. Cody Kessler is starting for the Browns, so who knows? I liked Josh McCown as the quarterback there. I don't know what the whole situation is with that. If they want to keep trying Cody Kessler out, he is a rookie. Just give him playing time or whatnot. So I thought Josh McCown gives them the best chance to win. I don't know if there's injury or anything, but I think he gives them the best chance to win. But apparently Cleveland does not think that. I saw a stat on Cleveland Browns, to all the Cleveland Brown fans out there. They have not won a game their last quarterback to win a game was Mr. Johnny Football himself.
That's a good one.
So, sorry for the pain that brings you, but Johnny Manziel was the last quarterback to win a game for the Browns.
Let me, before you get your pick on this, there was actually a lot of news coming out of Cleveland for football reasons. Joe Thomas reportedly was on the trading block, but then wasn't. Mm-hmm. Joe Hayden reportedly on the trading block. Josh Gordon, even though he's not with the team right now, reportedly on the trading block. All those players, they could have moved and added draft picks. Now, I know they drafted a lot of players this offseason and signed, I believe, all of them for the first time in a long time an NFL team did that. But they actually traded a third-round draft pick for Jamie Collins of the New England Patriots. What's your thought on the Browns 0-6, probably a 5% chance of making the playoffs, if that? What are your thoughts on them trading a third-round draft pick and not getting really anything in return? Jamie Collins is a rental player by all means. He's expired contract after this year. What are your thoughts on that as a just from a standpoint of a bad team trading away a relatively high draft pick for a player who most likely won't re-sign?
Well, if he doesn't resign, then definitely it was a terrible trade. But from all things that I've heard, they want to keep him there. I think he is a very good player.
Agreed.
And that could be someone you build around, to be honest, especially in the linebacking position. And we've seen him in New England fly around to the ball and play fantastic football. But for Cleveland, I mean, like you said, they had a lot of draft picks last year. Signed them all. They need help. So, I mean, if this is a start, it's a start. Who knows? Who knows what happens? They could trade Josh Gordon in the offseason. They could trade all these guys in the offseason and still get some picks back. But right now, I think their main goal is to sign him back and then trade Joe Hayden to get that contract out of there and then see what happens from there.
So what's your you were teasing a little bit like maybe you were going with Cleveland in this game.
Oh no.
You got Cowboys winning?
Yeah, I got Cowboys winning this game.
So you were teasing it a little bit, but I couldn't tell if you were just edging on all the Cleveland fans out there.
No, I don't think they'll be able to stop Ezekiel Elliott this week. I think he should just shred that defense.
Yeah.
But who knows? He could go down in the first quarter and it's a whole different ballgame.
That is true.
That is football. We saw that with Texas A&M today. Trevor Knight went down.
We saw it in the NFL last week with Alex Smith, with Spencer Ware, with.
Mm-hmm. And they still won.
Right.
Nick Foles came in and played a hell of a game.
He did. That is right. I'm willing to bet that Nick Foles might be a popular start in daily fantasy sports. I don't think he's going to be a popular pickup in fantasy leagues, but a cheap option going against a bad defense, which is actually our next game. Jacksonville travels to Kansas City. Blake Bortles and the Jags struggling. Allen Robinson has not gotten on track. Probably one of the top between 5 and 10 biggest busts fantasy-wise this year. He's had a couple of decent games. Nothing yardage-wise. He's just managed to find the end zone. But Jacksonville going to Kansas City. I have Jacksonville actually winning this game. This is my upset pick of the week. And the reasons why is because Spencer Ware did not practice this week from what I've seen. So I believe he's listed as questionable. But I don't think he's going to play. Nick Foles starting. We've seen Nick Foles be good in spurts, but we've also seen him be really, really bad. Last year against the Packers, I believe he threw 4 or 5 interceptions to the Packers defense. Jacksonville has been pretty good at getting after the quarterback. Yannick Ngakoue, rookie out of Maryland, leads all rookies in sacks and forced fumbles this year. So I do have Jacksonville winning this game. I think that it's a relatively low-scoring game, somewhere around 21-17. But I do have Jacksonville with the upset.
Yeah, you said Nick Foles struggled against the Packers last year. Remember, he was with Philly last year and a Chip Kelly offense.
Last year was the Rams, I thought, no?
Was it the Rams?
Last year, 2 years ago, was Philly, but...
okay, either way, he
not an offense suited for his...
Yeah,
his
but
strength.
when we saw him in the Andy Reid system, he was pretty good. Now in Kansas City, he showed sparks again last week, throwing the ball all over the field. Travis Kelce, one of his major targets last week, probably again. And Jacksonville's defense does not cover tight ends very well. They're not great against the run, but with 2 big running backs out, I expect Tyreek Hill to play a big role this week in the Kansas City offense. He is a speedy wide receiver. I feel like they're going to put him in that Ty Montgomery type role, and it's going to be interesting to see how Kansas City runs their offense and Jacksonville does on defense with that new style offense, because losing your starting quarterback, your starting running back, and your second string running back it has to throw a wrench in your game plan. But we all know Andy Reid. We all know Andy Reid, and he is one of the best coaches ever to coach in the NFL. He does things that a lot of coaches wish they could. So I think Kansas City, being at home, will take this game, being man down, and I think Arrowhead's just another added element to the win for Kansas City this week.
Yeah, if that was the one reason why I was considering not going with that as my upset pick, because Arrowhead is a tough place to play. I think with it being unseasonably warm in the Midwest, I know Kansas City's a little bit south and south and west, but it is still a northern-ish.
Midwest. It's Midwest.
Midwest-ish. Unseasonably warm. It got up into the 70s here today, which is, it was insane. Lauren would be in her sweater and Ugg boots if it was 70 down there.
I mean, it's 70 now.
70 now? Well, it's like
not right. No, not right now. Not right now. It gets cold. It gets pretty cold at night. It's 40s and 50s.
Oh, no way.
It is.
All right. Lauren's gonna hear this and just not like me or think I'm a huge tool now, but whatever. Anyways.
Oh well.
Detroit going to Minnesota. Minnesota's been struggling these last couple of weeks. North Turner, midweek resignation. A lot of people kind of thinking that maybe it was a forced resignation behind scenes. But Minnesota is favored in this game. I think Minnesota gets back on track versus a defense in Detroit who's not all that, hasn't been all that good or great this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they run the ball decent, and I think that their defense gets back to stopping the opponent. I think Minnesota takes this game.
Yeah, I also think Minnesota for a couple reasons you said. But I was watching the Lions game last week before the Packers came out. And the Lions just moved the ball, got to about the 40 on the other side, and had to punt. They couldn't push it down the field. They get some big yardage gains, hurt themselves. I think Minnesota is pretty good on defense. They get to the quarterback. Stafford, we know, can be sporadic at times when he gets pressure in his face. So, Lions, I won't be surprised if it's a closer game because they can pass the ball very well. Their passing game has proven to be pretty good this year. But I just think Minnesota's front seven is just a little too strong for that Lions offensive line right now.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Minnesota offensive line, Minnesota in general, one of the most injured teams in the NFL in terms of key players going down. So I think that they probably are exceeding expectations. If you would have told someone before the season, Teddy Bridgewater, Adrian Peterson, three of their starting offensive linemen, but defense definitely carrying that team recently. Next game, divisional game. Actually, a little bit of a surprise to me that this team is favored, but Pittsburgh is going to Baltimore. Pittsburgh is favored on the road. Big Ben is a game-time decision. My pick for this game is under the assumption that Big Ben will not play. I do have Baltimore winning this game. Baltimore's been playing decent football. They've been running the ball pretty well. But I think that even with Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, I think that with Landry Jones starting at quarterback, he makes one too many mistakes against this Baltimore defense. I have Baltimore winning at home.
Yeah, I actually have Pittsburgh in this one. I don't think it matters who plays quarterback because we've seen Landry Jones. His arm is very good. They can throw the deep ball to Antonio Brown. That's not going to be a problem. And Le'Veon Bell is going to get his touches. Baltimore has been pretty good on defense this year, especially mostly against the run. So if Le'Veon gets going, I don't think it matters who is at quarterback. Um, Obviously, you would love to have Ben in there, the veteran and gunslinger, but I think it would actually benefit the Steelers more if Landry Jones did play this week because Ben isn't 100%, and we've seen it when Ben isn't 100%. He's not as mobile. He can't. He still takes the hits because he's huge. He's a huge man, but he can't get everything behind the ball because his mobility isn't there, and he can't plant and he can't whip it in there like he usually can. So when he can't do that, he still tries to do it, and he forces it, and he gets intercepted. We've seen that a couple weeks ago. He tried to force it in there, and I watched that interception. He threw it into triple coverage and didn't even care. But you saw there was no, like, he was standing flat-footed and just tried to gun it in there, and that's not going to work in the NFL.
Not at all.
Especially playing hurt, it's not going to help him trying to compensate for his injury and just trust his arm a little too much.
Yeah, I think it's better off for him in the long run to sit this game. Just like you said, they're competitors. They don't want to sit out a game, but sometimes you just kind of have to almost force them to do that. Next game, one of the candidates for highest scoring game, and it seems like anytime the New Orleans Saints is involved, you have an opportunity to have one of the highest scoring games of the week. But we have New Orleans going to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. New Orleans is favored on the road. I am going with the road team. I am going with the road team here. I think that Drew Brees tears apart the San Francisco secondary. I think that Mark Ingram has a decent game.
If he plays.
But I think Drew Brees, with Willie Snead, with Michael Thomas, with their plethora of receiving weapons, that's not even mentioning Brandon Cooks. I think Drew Brees throws for at least either 400 yards or 4 touchdowns, if not both.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I think New Orleans will dominate this game. The stats will look more than what it will actually be because the New Orleans Saints defense is atrocious. They are terrible. So I think Colin Kaepernick will have a decent game this week, and like you said, it should be a high-scoring game this week. But every time we say that, it's like a 7-3 game and 200 passing yards combined.
Yes, you did mention Colin Kaepernick. He is my daily fantasy sports stud of the week.
Oh.
By that, if you look, I believe on FanDuel, he's like the 16th most expensive. I think he's only like $7,200, somewhere around there. So I think for what he costs in daily fantasy sports, he will put up the best value numbers.
Yep, yeah, it's all about the value.
That's right. So you do have New Orleans winning that game, correct?
I do have New Orleans.
All right. This next game, Carolina goes to Los Angeles. Carolina coming off of a good win against a struggling Arizona Cardinals team. Carolina traveling cross country. I was considering going with LA here, but these last couple weeks I've been picking these upset picks, and they haven't been coming to fruition. So I do have Carolina. I think Cam Newton has a huge game this week.
I also have Carolina. I won't necessarily say Cam has a big week. I think this defense has a big week. They played pretty well last week against. We saw a very good runner in David Johnson, and they virtually shut him down. Their passing game, I mean, they didn't really shut it down, but their defensive line shut it down. they sacked Carson Palmer a handful of times, and he kept getting hit, kept getting pressured. They forced them into penalties, holding. The fire on defense looked like it was back for that game. They did give up 20 points, but overall that defense played very well. I think they will stay on a small little hot streak and win this game in LA.
All right. We're going to skip over the Indy Green Bay game. Obviously, save the best for last, as usual. Next game, I think that this is the part 2 of highest scoring game of the week opportunity. Tennessee Titans on a roll. Marcus Mariota has had a couple of really nice games strung together. Goes to San Diego. San Diego put up a fight against Denver last week. Melvin Gordon going for over 100 yards. Phillip Rivers close to 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, but did turn the ball over 3 times.
Pick 6.
What's your what do you got for this game? Tennessee going to San Diego. San Diego is favored at home.
Yeah, this is what you said before with the Panthers game of East to West Coast. So I think the Chargers will win this game. Like you said, I think Mariota's been on a hot streak. The running game has been coming together as of late, but the Chargers offense still hasn't lost a beat with losing Keenan Allen
again.
And Hunter Henry, a very, very good tight end, rookie tight end, alongside
Great pick by them.
Alongside Antonio Gates. Hunter Henry should have been a Packer, but
I'm not complaining about the Kenny Clark or the Blake Martinez picks right now.
No, definitely not.
And maybe if Jared Cook were healthy and making an impact, wouldn't be so bitter.
Yeah. Anyways, I think the Chargers passing attack and the rushing attack now with a healthy Melvin Gordon, like you said, running very well this year. He is being very impressive this year. He found his new more motivation this year after a lackluster. I was going to say terrible rookie year.
Give the Badgers some love.
Yeah, always have to, especially after a big win against Northwestern.
That's right.
A little side note on there. I have the Chargers winning this game, and like you said, a shootout.
I agree. San Diego wins. I do have a feeling that Marcus Mariota will have the best game of his career. However, in a losing effort this week, like I said, he's just been playing probably the best 3 or 4 game stretch of his career. I know he had an absolutely crazy first game last year, but I think that his hot streak continues. But I do have San Diego winning. I think this game's going to be like a 31-38, 31-28, somewhere around there. High scoring game. Marcus Mariota, I do believe, is my FanDuel quarterback this week. So I'm looking forward. That's my brain and my want to just win our league, our FanDuel league this week. But last game before we get to the Packers, we have Denver going to Oakland. Oakland is favored in this game. I know this was a tough one for me. Denver, it seems like, their defense is outrageous again.
Mm-hmm.
However, seeing that they allowed Melvin Gordon over 100 yards rushing, seeing that they allowed Phillip Rivers 276 yards passing, even though they did force the turnovers, I think that Oakland wins this game. I think Latavius Murray has a decent game. Obviously, he's not a Melvin Gordon, but he is a steady running back for the Oakland Raiders. I think that Derek Carr continues his impressive season. I do have the Oakland Raiders beating the Broncos this week.
I actually have Denver because of their defense, and I'm a fan of Devontae Booker. I said that last week. I think he'll have another good game. that Oakland Raiders defense is terrible, and I think the fact is that Denver's defense is so good against a very good Oakland offense that we saw put up 500 some passing yards on a terrible, a pretty bad Tampa Bay offense and defense really. So I think Denver will do enough to win. They always seem to do it. It'll probably be another close game, but I think Denver wins this game.
I think you mentioned this. Oakland Raiders defense has been bad. They haven't been getting after the quarterback. But one of the best signings this offseason, and he's going kind of underappreciated because of how bad their defense is, but Reggie Nelson of the Raiders is having a great season. As great of a season as you can have for one of the worst defenses in the NFL, that is. But so another game we disagree on. Not too many of them. Looks like we
missed a couple games to talk about, didn't we?
I don't believe so, unless I missed a couple.
You did. We didn't talk about the Giants or the Jets.
Why did I miss that?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Rookie.
The Jets are going to Miami.
Yep.
Miami is actually favored in this game. Who do you have winning that game?
This was a tough game, especially to guess on because both these teams have underperformed. Expect a lot pretty much out of both teams. I do have the Jets in this game. I think their offense came together a little bit last week in the second half versus the Browns, which isn't saying much, but they came together. I think Matt Forte has a very good game. Brandon Marshall might score a touchdown. But, yeah, I have the Jets winning in Miami this week.
All right. I have Miami winning. I think Jay Ajayi, I think he can break through that Jets front seven. I think he has a decent game. I think he goes over 100 yards. I think Ryan Tannehill has a decent game. But watch out for the receiving core of the Miami Dolphins. The Jets' passing defense has been one of the worst in the NFL. I do have Miami, and I skipped over Buffalo, Seattle, so I've moved that to the bottom of the list because that's the Monday night game that we have. So Buffalo going to Seattle, another cross-country game Monday night. I think I do have Seattle winning that game. I think Russell Wilson has a decent game. He has not had a very good season statistically. However, the one thing that people say about Russell Wilson is that he's tough and he overcomes adversity and blah, blah, blah because he's a short quarterback. But he has shown his toughness this year week after week. I think he has a decent game, and I have Seattle winning at home.
I also have Seattle winning at home. I think whenever you go to the 12th man, it's going to be a hard task, especially for Buffalo, whose offense has been sporadic. Their defense has played very well. But, I mean, their offense just isn't good enough. The Seattle's defense has picked it up as of late. They've played very good. And I think the defense will keep them in this game. Russell Wilson gets back on track for the most part. He has not thrown a touchdown. I think it is 4 games now. So that's quite a streak to have in a negative way. So I think Russell Wilson, if he doesn't have a big game, he will throw at least 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I believe Shady McCoy is still questionable, but I believe he's leaning on not playing this week, if I remember correctly from all reports. However, it is the Monday night game, so who knows by then. And then the last game, I don't know how I missed this big divisional game. We have the Eagles and the Giants. The Eagles are favored in this game on the road, I do believe. So we have the Eagles going to the Giants. The Eagles coming off of an overtime loss to the Cowboys. I think they get back on track. They've been up and down these last couple of weeks after a hot start. I have the Eagles winning. I think Carson Wentz has a good game. I think Darren Sproles has a decent game. I think he scores at least 1 touchdown out of the multiple different positions that he lines up as.
Yeah, I'm going with the Giants on this one. What I've seen out of Philly the last couple weeks have not been impressive, especially out of Wentz. Wentz has not played very well. Even in the win against Minnesota, he turned over the ball. He didn't pass for over 200 yards. He didn't look very good even in a win. So I think the Giants' offense is just too good for your off for Eagles fans, for your offense to be that bad. You're not going to win against Philly or against the Giants with that kind of offense. Giants' offense is very potent. We see the last couple weeks Odell going crazy, putting up huge numbers.
In a good way, not like the attacking the net and making out with it the next week kind of crazy.
I mean, both of that actually, because I think he did get married to the net his last touchdown
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah. So congratulations on getting married to a net. I assume it said yes. I don't know.
Who
Yikes.
Yeah.
But
he's a winner.
yeah. He's got some noodle hair.
That's right.
But yeah,
Head and Shoulders likes it.
I guess Head and Shoulders like Troy Polamalu's hair too.
Yeah. All right. So another game we disagreed on.
Mm-hmm.
Final game: Packers, Indy. Packers at home this week. So keys to the game. Obviously, we go through that every week. What the keys to the game are. I know you mentioned it pre-show. I believe I picked the Packers to go 12-4,
Mm-hmm.
and you 13-3, or
Yep.
maybe 13-3 for both. I'd have to review the tape, but obviously they'd have to win out or win out minus one game for our prediction to be correct. Obviously, we're going through a lot of injuries this year. A lot of either when the defense played well, the offense didn't, or obviously last week, offense played basically
Perfect.
they played
Almost
out of their minds
yes.
for most of the game, and then the defense just kind of let them down. I think it's going to be some of the same this week. I do have the Packers pulling out at the end.
As you hope.
38-31. 38-31 winner. Packers over the Colts. I have three things here.
Uh-oh.
One Packers player will have over 200 total yards. I think Devontae Adams or Ty Montgomery are those the best guesses.
Don't sell Jordy short though.
This is true. But yeah, one Packers player over 200 total yards. Aaron Rodgers, 350 plus, 3+ touchdowns, and the defense, 2 takeaways.
We need something.
Last week they came close on that final drive a couple of times, but just couldn't quite get it done. But again, 38-31, Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm going a little lower scoring game, especially on the defensive side. I think one of the biggest struggles for the Colts this year is protecting Andrew Luck, and one of our best attributes as a team on defense is our pass rush, especially the depth of it. We got so many different styles. We got the speed rush, we got the power, we got finesse, we got everything that you would want in a defensive line, and they've been playing very well over the first half of the season, which is a testament to the practice and everything, the rookies coming in and making them huge impact on the game. Fresh legs from Peppers is clearly paying off in a couple of these rushes. So the depth of our defensive line, I think, is the biggest factor this week into getting to Andrew Luck. We've seen another thing out of the Colts this year is their wide receivers dropping a lot of passes.
Absolutely.
The Packers have had those struggles before, and we've seen in a few games of loosely handling the ball or not pulling in a catch that they should and getting intercepted and taken back. I think that will happen to the Colts this week. I think the Colts do turn over the ball at least 2 times, and it's not necessarily Andrew Luck's fault. It's them being loose with the ball and not catching the ball. I said it last week. Clinton Dix needs to make a play. He has been good in the run defense like always, but he needs to make he needs to come out and play well on the pass defense and make a play. Be a ball hawk, make a play. Just be a playmaker that he is. We know he's capable of. I think this is a big game for our defense because in the offense, when they are on, they are very good. Frank Gore has played very well. The ageless wonder has played very well this year, so stopping him is always a priority. I think our offense came out of its shell a little bit last week, and it was good to see. Ty Montgomery, I think, it is going to be back, and that's going to help this Packer offense even more than it did last week. I think if Ty Montgomery was there last week, we may have pulled out the win. But then again, who knows? Because then Trevor Davis and Geronimo Allison might not have made those big impact plays.
What a name.
Geronimo.
That's right.
That's another thing, is these rookie wide receivers being impact. I think they found a little bit of a swagger to them. They found that, Aaron Rodgers is throwing me the ball. He accepts us. Let's go make a play when we touch the ball. So we also saw Trevor Davis have a great return. I think Mike McCarthy is giving him a little more trust and being like, just take one, just take it. If it's close, take it. And I think I think the Packers have a very good week this week. I am excited to see it. They're coming off a tough loss. Aaron Rodgers played very well. I think he quieted the critics for at least another week. And I think Aaron Rodgers has a big game, like you said. I think Ty Montgomery has a big game. I think this could be the game to watch as a Packer fan, especially with the type of defense. The Colts are just as banged up as the Packers, so it helps, I guess. It kind of evens the playing field. We get a little bit of a help. And with that, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers every time as my quarterback to throw the ball. I think this week we score in every asset of the game. I think we have offensive, defense, and special teams touchdown. That's a little bold, I will say, but I just think this week is a big week. I think, like the Packers were saying this week after this tough loss, it was, in their words, a moral victory. That, in their words. I'm not going to say it. But in their words, it gives confidence to these young players that we need to have confidence. Like the Trevor Davis needs to have that confidence that he can make a play in the NFL. Geronimo Allison needs that confidence. And I think it will feed off, and I think it's good experience to have these players. Clay is back. Ty is back. So always having those, especially Clay on defense, is going to be a huge player to be healthy again, because I know we discussed it during the game last week. There was a couple plays where like Clay would have shut that one down. Clay would have done this. Clay would have at least got in there to disrupt something. So him coming back to a game with the offensive line being as banged up and very reckless is a great sign for this Packers defense, I think. I will say it again. One of my predictions this week, I've said it a lot. I have a lot of faith in our defense, our defensive line or linebacker, and our defense as a whole will have 5+ sacks. This is a big week. I think every defense that has faced the Colts at least has pressured Andrew Luck double-digit times. I think we will get right at it. We will keep it again. Hopefully, Dom Capers doesn't pull some bullshit and just, let him throw it. We'll rush three, which we've seen that happen too. Like, you know what? Their offensive line will get there with three, drop them all back, and give them all the time in the world. Now, I think the Packers need to come back, pin their ears back, and go after Andrew Luck. That's.
So you have Ty Montgomery having a big game, Aaron Rodgers having a big game, 2+ takeaways, an offensive, a defensive, and a special teams touchdown, and 5+ sacks.
Well, there was a couple, like the Ty Montgomery and the Aaron Rodgers was just agreeing with yours. So
what's with those predictions, with those future facts, we will say.
Hopefully.
What is your final score prediction of this game? From everything I see, everything I've been hearing,
it's point.
I'm getting like a 31-10 vibe from you.
I'm going 41-17. I think we need a big game from this Packers, especially as Packer fans. We need a blowout. We need one of those games like we played against the Bears where we scored 48.5 or whatever it was. Yep. We need that game. We need it. I think if the Packers have that game, that especially going into this second half, is a great start going into the second half and could bolster them through the second half and could possibly run the table if they have they have the talent there. So
just looking at the Packers schedule, every game up until week 13 or 14 against the Seahawks is a game that the Packers should win. You have this week, next week against the Titans, the week after that against the Redskins, the Eagles, the Texans. So the next about 5 games, the Packers should win. I think
they're tough games.
5 weeks,
they're tough games.
They are. But if the Packers can get on track today, and we've seen this in previous years, the Packers need one game to get on track.
I think
they'll go on a roll.
That's why I think that was last game on offense. Defense, no. Defense, no. But offense, it gives them the click. They're like, this is what we can do. Like, hello, this is what we can do every week. So let's do it. Especially with now Rip ran the ball fantastic. And now Ty Montgomery is just another added dimension. So I think this is a big week for Packers. I just have that feeling that the Packers are going to do something big this week.
We mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Mid-season award predictions or mid-season award predictions, basically. Let's start off with Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that no matter who you ask, it's one of two guys, and they come from the same team, and they come from the same backfield. For me, I'm going with Ezekiel Elliott.
Yep. As am I.
I mean, I think that it's unanimous. No matter who you ask, it's either Dak or it's Ezekiel Elliott. I wouldn't complain, or I couldn't see Skip Bayless throwing a fit about either one winning. I don't even know who else you could possibly throw in there realistically at this point.
It looked like in the beginning you could throw in Will Fuller, but then that's just faded out.
Right.
But yeah, outside of that, you don't you could have thrown Wentz in there early, but as of now, week 8, week 9, yeah, it's either Dak or Ezekiel Elliott.
Right. Defensive Rookie of the Year. This one was a tough one for me, at least, until I had to think about it a little bit. But the guy that I have, he plays for the Atlanta Falcons. He had, I believe, a pick 6 against the Saints, his hometown Saints. Deion Jones, as a linebacker, number 45 for the Atlanta Falcons, is my Defensive Rookie of the Year at the midway point.
Yeah, this one was a tough pick, but I did a little research on it, and just with the quarterback hurries, the quarterback hits, the quarterback sacks, in limited games, is Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa, in his limited games, has made such an impact for that Chargers defense and that slight Chargers turnaround, which they won a close game a couple weeks ago because of their defense. They made a couple stops, and they won a close game, which the first few weeks we were seeing them losing the leads because their defense couldn't stop anybody. And who wasn't there? Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa comes back. They win a couple games. They lost a tough one against Denver. They could have won that game. Phillip Rivers made a couple bad plays, but I think that Joey Bosa does change that defense and does give that defense a new dynamic.
Absolutely. The next one is Offensive Player of the Year, non-quarterback. For me, it came down to two guys. It came down to Ezekiel Elliott again. But the second guy and the guy who I'm going with is, again, Atlanta Falcons. I'm Julio Jones.
Yeah, it's tough to disagree because this one, like I said, is very tough. I did not have Ezekiel Elliott as my two people to narrow it down to, but I had A.J. Green and Julio Jones. And I just narrowly gave it to A.J. Green. I think he's made some plays. The only reason why I'm not giving it to Julio because he has been non-existent in a few games. We held him to 4 catches for 40 yards. He was held to 1 catch for 9 yards. I
think that if it wasn't for that one massive game, it would have been between Ezekiel Elliott and A.J. Green. They're 1-2 in
yards.
Receiving yards. Yeah. There we go. Thank you.
It's a hard word.
Yeah, it is.
Yards.
It's tough. They're 1-2 in the metric measurement of 3 feet, aka a yard.
Ooh.
Had to nerd it out there.
Some people.
Defensive Player of the Year. This one was pretty easy for me. He's the best player on arguably the best defense in the NFL. I think he's second or third in sacks. Von Miller.
Yeah. He makes a play right at the right time. You may say, oh, he's not there every play, but when they need him to be, he's back there. It's third and 8, and it's the fourth quarter. It's the game-winning drive. He's back there making a sack, forcing a fumble, and then Denver takes it for the win. So he is that impact player. He is the most valuable player on defense for any team, I would say.
Agreed. We're gonna skip MVP. We're gonna go Coach of the Year next. For me, it was a tough one. I had it down to 3 people. It was Jason Garrett from the Cowboys, Jack Del Rio, Raiders, or Dan Quinn, Falcons. I ultimately ended up going with Dan Quinn for one reason. When you look at the other 2 teams, some people expected the Cowboys had a chance. We weren't one of those teams, or we weren't those people. Admittedly, we were wrong about them. We thought they were going to be under 500.
Tony Romo got hurt, that's why.
I thought the Falcons were going to be a bad team this year, but Dan Quinn has really turned that team around. The defense has played well in a couple of games, definitely improved from last year. But Dan Quinn is my Coach of the Year.
Yeah, those are the 3 that I think everyone's picking, but you also can throw Bill Belichick in there just because what he's done with 3 different quarterbacks in 3 different weeks and 4 over 5 weeks. It's ridiculous, and they're still winning. So I think just people are sick of him winning, so no one's voting for him anymore. But I would like to see Jack Del Rio win this one. He's brought that Raiders team and made them relevant. Derek Carr has played out of his mind. But Jack Del Rio's balls are the size of this earth. Going for
cojones de las toros. That means cojones of bulls.
They go for it on 4th down. What is it? First game of the year.
I think it was 2 weeks in a row they did that.
Game winner. Then they go for 2 for the win. They didn't want to tie. Gets it. Last week, 4th and 10 from midfield. 48-yard touchdown pass in overtime with 2 minutes left.
Let me ask you this. if there is an anti-coach of the year, the worst coach this year, a lot of people would say Hugh Jackson because the Browns are winless.
I wouldn't even say
They've
that.
been close in games.
They have. They just can't close it out. I just don't think they have the depth that everybody else does. The Browns, like we said, they were in the lead last week. They were in the lead against Baltimore.
They pulled Browns things.
They do Browns things, exactly. They're up 20-10 at half and then score 7 points the rest of the game.
So off the top of your head, or that you can think of, if you had to choose an anti-coach of the year or the coach doing the worst job this year.
That's a tough one. Because there's some coaches that I don't even know what their names are.
For me, there's about 4 guys. There's Gus Bradley, Jacksonville. You can only give a guy so many opportunities and so many. Oh, this is the year their defense. What you can only give a guy so many opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Fisher,
Mr. 8-8,
one of my least favorite coaches in the NFL. He's going to set the all-time record for most losses by a head coach this year.
Yikes, Mr. 8-8.
Chip Kelly. People knew this 49ers weren't going to be good this year, but 1-6 is pretty bad. And then Dirk Cutter. That's the guy that Tampa Bay got rid of Lovie Smith for.
Yeah.
We thought they were going to be decent. They have talent on the defensive side. They got talent on the offensive side. I understand that Doug Martin got hurt. Vincent Jackson got hurt, but that team has been and will continue to struggle. MVP time, Brock. I know for a lot of people it's down. It's actually a pretty open race.
It really is.
Did you have one guy that stuck out and say, this is my guy, or did you have to narrow it down to 4 or 5 guys and then decide?
No, just I could have if Tom Brady would have played all 8 games. Who knows what kind of stats he would have? But
if he continues at the pace he's at, if Tom Brady continues the way he has been playing, Tom Brady will still win MVP.
Yeah, with only playing 12 games.
11, 12, yeah.
Yeah, but right now I think we have a leader in the MVP, I would say. I think he has played the most consistent out of everybody, and that's Matty Ice Ryan. He's throwing the ball all over the field, and when Julio Jones doesn't have a big game, they still win because Mohamed Sanu has been playing good. Hooper, the rookie tight end. Jacob Tamme has played well. He recently got hurt. And even Tevin Coleman and Devonta Freeman out of the backfield have been catching balls. So, I mean, he's spreading the ball out very well, and he's going through progressions and torching a lot of defenses this year. It's good to see because I don't dislike Matty Ice. He is quiet. He does what he does and does it very well. And he's a likable guy, I will say that. He's a likable quarterback, unlike some quarterbacks in this league.
Matt Ryan is in my top 3. I think I would have to put him number 2. I had to narrow it down from 5 to 3 to 1. For me, it's Ezekiel Elliott, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, Derek Carr. I'm forgetting one more.
Clearly, he's not in there. He's not your winner, clearly.
Who's that? Matt Ryan?
No, you're the 5th guy you can't think of.
No, definitely not.
So it doesn't matter.
Derek Carr is my MVP. I think he's dealing with the worst defense out of those. I mean, it's maybe a toss-up between the Falcons and the Raiders.
It really is.
He has, between Michael Crabtree just having a good season and him making Michael Crabtree look like an all-pro, and the lack of a running game in Oakland, and the fact that the Raiders could possibly be 7-2 and have a lead in the AFC West after this, I think Matt Ryan has had a couple of games where his stats have maybe been a little bit inflated against bad defenses. I mean, every player has that, but yardage against the Packers, he threw for, what was it, almost 400 or over 400
Well,
yards.
500 yards against Tampa's offense isn't very.
Yeah. I just think that Derek Carr, both teams are probably either over-exceeding expectations, or in the Raiders' case, I think a lot of people thought they were going to be good, maybe not this good. For me, it came down to which quarterback would I rather have in a game this week or next week. And for me, it was Derek Carr. So Derek Carr is my mid-season MVP.
That's pretty good. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I mean, they both played very well.
Absolutely. We mentioned it during the show, but Allen Robinson, possibly one of those guys who are like the anti-MVP or just not very good. Blake Bortles, his quarterback, has not been very good this year. He's been turnover prone. Ryan Fitzpatrick has been bad. Got benched for Geno Smith, but then Geno tore his ACL. It's been a great first half of football.
It really has.
What or who, either team or player, is your biggest surprise, whether positively or negatively? I know
outside of the Cowboys, outside of the
Cowboys, because they exactly. What's your biggest surprise, positive or negative, this year?
Oh boy, this one's tough. You threw this one at me without.
I did. This was a
spur of the moment. I see. I think it's the Seahawks offense. How terrible it is. How much Marshawn Lynch actually meant to that team is quite impressive. So I would say one of the biggest surprises this week, or this first half of the season, is how bad that Seahawks offense is with Russell Wilson and Jimmy Graham and Doug Baldwin and Javon Kearse. All of them. Tyler Lockett in there too. Their defense has been good for years now. So it's just that offense is not there like it has been the last few years when they make it to the playoffs. So yeah, I would say Seahawks is one of the most surprising teams this year.
Yeah, for me, I think it is the teams that people are expecting to be good this year, not necessarily showing up. So the Panthers and the Cardinals. Now the Panthers are starting to get on a roll. They are still only 2-5, but they've been playing better football recently. Cardinals 3-4-1, and then the surprise, like the Falcons being 6-3, is a pretty big surprise to me. And then every team in the NFC East is over 500. Is also a pretty big surprise. I didn't expect the Redskins to be very good this year. That remains to be seen. But what if sports game of the week time? We talked about this a little bit before the show, and last week we were debating what we wanted to do, but we decided on Super Bowl runners-up going against each other, and what we came up with was the New England Patriots taking off the New England Patriots from 2007, aka the 18-0 helmet catch losers, versus the 2014 Seattle Seahawks. That would have been the Russell Wilson interception at the goal line against the Patriots that year. Let's play this game. The winner of this game, what do you think, Brock?
I'd have to give it to the 18-0, just cause.
18-2.
Oh, they lost again.
They lost 24-20. Seattle. Seattle comes from behind with 10 fourth quarter points to win. Marshawn Lynch, 99 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, they let him run the ball.
That's right. Russell Wilson only threw the ball 15 times for 106 yards.
And when?
Randy Moss, 4 catches for 94 yards. Tom Brady, 15 of 19, close to 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. So,
Jeez.
18-2 New England Patriots from 2007. They just keep on losing and losing. Before we go, we did not hit on any kind of college, but we should be back hopefully next week with some college updates. The Badgers looking like they're going to control their own destiny to hopefully the playoffs. If they win out, they should be in there. That includes a Big Ten championship game run.
Yep, winning you're in. That's what I think the Badgers are at right now.
That's right. You did pick Nebraska today, which would have kind of left the Badgers out of luck, since Nebraska would have only had one Big Ten loss. I'm glad you were wrong there. However, you did hit on your upset picks today. I kind of flamed out on those. So
I almost picked Mississippi State over A&M. Did not want to pull the trigger on that. I promise you I did.
All right. Other than that, you got anything else, Brock?
One thing that we don't talk about a lot is baseball, but congratulations to the Cubs winning their first World Series in 108 years.
That's right.
We're both not fans of the Cubs, but it's a part of history, and history in sports. It's always amazing to see. So it was, as a sports fan, amazing night for the Cubs, and seeing the joy and everything in Chicago was amazing, and happy for that team.
Yes.
And
the only
their
thing
win.
I wish that the World Series could be like a best of 15. Because that means Joe Buck is going to be back calling NFL games. Maybe he's going to take some vacation time. Maybe take some PTO, so we don't have to hear Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
We might get him this week. For the Packers.
That's right. Packers 4:00 tomorrow. We'll be live tweeting, or we'll be tweeting along with some of the games tomorrow. Other than that, Brock, see you next time for. You got one more thing.
Yeah. Everyone, thanks for watching. Share us with your family, friends, anything. We are almost at 100 followers on Twitter.
If you don't like us,
yay.
If you don't like us, share us with somebody you hate, because they might have better taste in videos than you. No, but like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any suggestions, feedback, comments, we love it. Love to get the fans and the followers incorporated both in the show and along on Twitter. So, with that, we're out. Brock, have a good rest of your night. I know it's getting late there on the East Coast.
Yeah, just a little bit. 11:30.
It's 11:30. All right. With that.
All right. Have a good night.
See you next time.